Sec. Okay, afternoon everybody. My name is Jarek, I'm the Archon Studio, and welcome to my 9th live chat. I hope you can see me and I hope you can hear me. I've got new setup, by the way, so you have to bear with me. It might take a little bit of time to use to it. So this time I don't have my laptop on the right hand side and I have to follow the questions. I've got questions here on my screen, so let's test it out. I've got presentation ready for you as well, so we're gonna be going through it just in a second, but I can see there's a several number of questions already, so let me just answer them and then we're gonna go through the presentations, right? So the first question, yay! Any news about the Fields of Eternia? The Fields of Eternia is currently in a production stage, so there is no news about it being produced. If we're going to have any more news about shipping date and so on, we'll definitely go on the campaign and provide update. The other question, we need a Hodak faction for, but of course, yes, we know we need. Stay tuned. This is one of the waves for the next year. I believe is one of the first quarter or second quarter is planned for, so definitely is going to happen. Now, next question: when we get to see the full gameplay? Right, this question is referring to Heroes Might and Magic 3. We have shipped out several copies of the game already to the reviewers, so they will be coming very, very quickly. I hope next week we'll have few, or maybe in the next couple of weeks we're going to be able to post on our Facebook with the link on our Facebook and as well on a Kickstarter. So this is coming as well. Yes, that's kind of new announcement. We plan to but I will be talking about this one in a second as well. I've got it in a presentation and explain the reasons and explain everything behind it. Any news about Wave 4? Yes, Wave 4 will be in first quarter of 2022. So the next year, as per schedule, we plan to release every new wave for the Battleground with every quarter, and that will be aligned with releases for Fields of Eternia. So we will have Fields of Eternia along with the Battleground release at the same time. So, and we plan 4 releases for the next year. So effectively exactly the same as we had this year. Now this year we had the first quarter for the core game, second quarter, third and the fourth quarter. We had some releases for the Battleground. That's kind of important question. So the question is whether the models will be produced in hard plastic on spruce or in China. At this stage, we quote everything in China, so PVC manufacturing and no spruce. I hope that's kind of, yeah, cleared that one out. Saying that there is some plans, internal plans for manufacturing house miniatures for board games. Something I have not yet announced at the moment. We are currently just looking for the machines and seeing the quotes and everything else. But I'll be talking in a second about the Essen and a lot of information I've got from Essen, lots of discussions we had at Essen is regarding that. So stay tuned for a sec. Do we get any more information about Wave 3? Yes, next week. Next week, we are announcing Wave 3. It's going to be available for pre-order for stores, and I think also pre-order will start at our online store. Hi everyone. Hi Camille. Okay. Yeah, I know. Yep, it's cutting a little bit text, but next time will be much better. So it's the first time we implemented this one on this setup, so apologies for that one. Yes, and the quality is one of the main driver for the next campaign, which I'm gonna be talking right now in a second. So presentation. Let me just clear this. Yep, I think everything works. Yeah. I've got new background, I love it. So what we're gonna be talking about today has a few things. First of all, Essen SPIEL of 2020. It was amazing, absolutely amazing show. Met so many fans, so many people who love our what we do and our quality, our miniatures and so on, great stuff. I want to mention also encounters. I've got a huge update on encounters, especially for the spruce. We've got new setup, camera setup, so I hope it's gonna work nice, and I want to go through this one as well just to, you know, test it and see You tell me what you think. And then there's heroes or villains discussion or announcement of new project. Then we're going to be talking a little bit about the Home 3, next steps in the development. Now, this is the most complex projects we had in-house, and there's several reasons for that. There's a huge number of fans, huge expectation for this project. So we basically don't want to deliver Cyberpunk of 2027. 2077. We just want to make sure the game is good and so on, so on. So it is really, really important project to us, to our team, to our development team. And I will explain to you a little bit the next steps in development. I have some good news, which not yet been announced. So we're going to get there in a second. And then there's something extremely, extremely boring because I want to talk a little bit about retail, sales, and crowdfunding, all this pros and cons and issues. Plus, I've got some example why do some companies might get in trouble if they only stay with the crowdfunding. And you can see it right now, but also we're gonna get there, and I will try to explain to you step by step. So, Essen SPIEL. Now, we've got one question actually coming from AMA. So, how was the Essen? Essen, as I mentioned, it was great, amazing, absolutely amazing. There was lots of people. It's great to see again that trade show being fully packed with people and so on, so on. I know last year was a disaster when they only allow a small number of people through the doors. Wasn't great last year. Now there's a couple things I need to mention about Essen. First of all, I went there just to meet people, have a chat, have several meetings, business meetings, but also I went there just to see and look what's going on in the industry. And I'm totally shocked of seeing how many female players joined the wargaming scene, skirmish gaming, and board gaming. Absolutely amazing, and especially seeing so many females, buying products for herself and so on, so on. That's new. That's new, completely new. I haven't seen this one. I've been on a trade shows for many years, and that shift, I mean, I think it's just follow up from the COVID situation and so on. That finally, absolutely finally, we can see a fresh new wave of people joining our communities, right? And especially females joining, because then it will open up bigger spectrum of products, not only dark grim hack and slash games, but also much better, much more calm down, much better visually and so on. That's absolutely great. I love that one to see, and I hope it will grow. I hope at some point we're gonna have 50-50, and it's not gonna be only guys sitting and playing the war games, but we're also going to be seeing a 50-50 split between females and guys playing it. So that's really fresh wind. What else? We were there in team of 5. Sorry, I just could you cannot see Bogusz on the picture. A team of 6 actually. There was a team of 6. As I said, amazing, absolutely amazing trade show. We ran a lot of Heroes 3 demo games. All the feedback was taken. So far, the feedback was extremely good, which, it just telling us that we actually go in the correct direction in terms of this game and how this game is being developed at this stage, which is good. We also had set up for Battleground. We have Fields of Eternia. Somebody nicked some models from us. Okay, happens. If you find them, please send them back. But okay, what else there? It was a great show. I met a lot of guys from the industry. We talk about this. We talk about the future of the industry, and this is when it comes discussion about doing production in China. Many companies, European companies, seems to be wanting production in Europe nowadays, even if the production is a little bit more expensive. But having, let's say, having products, it's much better for them than actually waiting for the product God knows how long to arrive from China. So having products more expensive than in China. That's what I was trying to say. And that gave us a little bit of thinking, because we used to manufacture board games in-house, right? We used to make them up until 2018 or 19, when we decided to stop doing it, because we had a much higher volume than we could manufacture. Because our manufacturing was, let's say, very labor-intensive manufacturing, not machines. So nowadays it seems to be like everybody wants to come back with the business back into Europe and make products in Europe, and they're just looking for manufacturers very, very actively. So we've got technology for miniatures. We don't have a technology for PVC miniatures, and we never will have. However, there's that our technology could be potentially adjusted for the miniatures, so you would have like one-piece miniatures for the board games. So this is something I discussed with many potential customers, and it's something we are currently investigating if we could do that in-house. So that would mean that many board games we have in the pipeline for the next couple of years will be made totally in-house and just in Europe, so avoiding manufacturing in China. So that was basically that. Again, thank you to everybody who actually came to our stand, say hello to us, gave us feedback about the games, board games, on everything we do. Really, really amazing. Right, let's start with the encounters. I think before we start encounters, there's several questions still I need to answer. Will the Warlock Altar and the other Woodhaven rooms be made available on the Archon store? If yes, right. Currently, our release pipeline does not include them this year. However, we are going to be releasing all those Dungeon Lasers product line next year. So starting with the first quarter, second or third quarter. The reason is that we have so much to release to retail that if we do that at once, the SKU product line will be so huge that distributors won't be interested in that. So we need to gradually introduce several elements of the products and so on and so on. So last month we have introduced the Townfolks. This month we're going to be introducing second pack of miniatures, which is one of the stretch goal miniatures as a separate pack, and gradually we'll be adding more and more and more. So again, stay tuned for the next year, but definitely not this year. Yeah, kind of the same question. Yes, we're not gonna be killing any product line. It's not our intention to kill any product line, because it's a plastic injection, so we have tool. So for us, just getting this tool back in the manufacturing and make stuff, it's simple, right? So there will be kind of no reason why not to. There is no planned obsolescence for it, for this product line, so we can basically put in the store and have it for forever. But again, we cannot release everything at the same time. We just have to plan out, have discussion with our retail, just to make sure that we're not, throwing too much out. Otherwise, it will be false start, but it won't bring any revenue because it's going to be too much, and so on, so on, so on. But slowly, gradually, we can do that. Which version of Heroes of Might and Magic 3 do you plan to release in retail in the future? The one with miniatures or without? It will be just with the hero miniatures. So as it is on the Kickstarter, it will be the same version. Miniature side of it, this is something we haven't yet explained to. There's one more additional mod for this, which I'm gonna be talking just in a second when we're gonna move into Heroes Might and Magic section. But there's additional mode that use miniatures. Do you need miniatures to play the game? No. Do you need miniatures to play this additional mode, which is cool and great? Yes. Yeah, stay tuned. Okay, the encounters, what's the current status? Yeah, that's where we are with the current status. What I'm going to be starting first is basically showing you freshly baked sprues, because I've got plenty of them, and I also got camera set up for that. Voila! You don't see my face. Okay, so we've made a huge progress, especially in the Land of Giants spruce. That's one of spruce I was going to show you. This is part of Land of the Giants, so you can see all the tail. That's sprue number 1. Then we have been also working on a sprue. This I'll show you this one. So that is a sprue for one of the creature pack sprues. I think you haven't seen this one. The guys made it when we were at Essen, so you can see now miniatures. And I'm not gonna be zooming in because the zoom is actually the focus is on this level. Yeah. Okay. Yes. I'll keep it there. Right. That's another sprue from Land of Giant. I do have some assembled miniatures. I will show you in a sec. Okay. Let me just show you assembled ones. Right. So you can see it now. You can see all the detail and everything else. So going back a little bit. This is how big it is assembled. Obviously, as I mentioned before, and something I need to check is you get 3 of them, right? So when you combine them, it's a half circle. When you do 2 of them, you should have the full circle. But yeah, the tail is there. You can see the back and front. So really, really good. In terms of quality, I would say it's in pair with GW Terrain sprues. It's different team, but in terms of quality, 1-to-1. Okay. Now, the other sprue I'll show you, I do have some assembled minis. I hope you will be able to see that. So, nice pieces of terrain. You have a detail inside, outside, some additional one. This bird here on top of it is optional. You don't have to assemble. And then we have several other items which we already assembled. Yeah. Next one. Will be, yeah, I can show you this. It's one of the sprues which required a little bit fixing, and it does require fixing here, exactly in this spot. As you can see, the material is a little bit overflowing, so we need to fix that one. So, but I will have the full manufactured nicely sprues with next update. But I just wanted to show that there is a progress and huge progress in terms of the sprues. Right, I like that model, really like it. I mean, it's assembled with 4 pieces, and I didn't believe that we can do it in 4 pieces, but you know, it only shows how much experience our team collected over the years in terms of, you know, cutting models for plastic injection. Right, and you have seen this one, right? You have seen the one which I had it in the last video, which wasn't in a final color. There was some question about it, so I just wanted to post it and show you that this is the final color of the sprue. Okay, that is in terms of sprues. Let me just click. Yeah, why not? Let me show you. So this is the gate, right? So I do have miniature. This is a 32mm miniature. It's not smallest, right? I think you could fit Giant here easily, so that's why Land of Giants. Okay, so it's quite large. It's really large. It's a good size terrain. Good size terrain. We haven't been any downscaling whatsoever. So if you do anything like that, we will let you definitely know. But at this stage, there is no reason for that one. Okay. Question is, why do large? Okay. So yeah, one. Let me just bring it. So the miniature is made with 50mm base as a standard miniature base, and the other one, which is the base you have to use for the miniature, is the one with the grid for full model location. But if you don't need it, you can use it on a shelf without it. I think the design choice here is more important than the gameplay itself, because some of the people won't be using these miniatures in the gameplay, and they look extremely good at the shelf when you paint them. And something which many people might not realize yet in terms of these miniatures, what we plan to do is when you collect them all, you'll be able to build nice diorama. right? So that's 2 of them, one's against each other, and then there'll be more miniatures in the future. So that's what we did. We added a separate base just for the gameplay, and the base and the round base, which is normally provided with the model, is as a scenic base. Now, if the other base would be fully attachable, then it won't be look good on the shelf. Okay. I don't think so. I think, Steve, I think we have currently, in terms of those miniatures, they very similar size. I'll do the video. I don't have them on hand at the moment because we have all the prototype packed downstairs, but I will do a review next time in terms of scale and to show you the miniatures one against each other. Is the water and underground in Heroes Might and Magic 3 playable maps? I don't know. I don't know. This is a question to our guys, so I'll pop it up. My guys are watching, so they will take notes, and next time I'll make sure we will answer those things. Yes, it is. It is. Well, we had a little bit of room and space on the sprue, so we just added it. And we had this design somewhere laying, and we didn't use it during Kickstarter, so we just basically added to fill up the sprue. Do we get answer for the base sets for encounters? No, we haven't got yet we didn't get there yet with encounters bases. So this is something which my team is still planning out, because we had small adjustments in miniatures and some bases were added to the tool. So we should have it in the next couple of weeks. But as we mentioned, we're gonna be probably adding them into Pledge Manager, so we'll be able to add them again. Yeah. Let's move to back to the presentation. So this question come up: do we have any news for production and shipping of Mod 2 Feats of Eternia? At this stage, as I mentioned, no, but as soon we have it, we'll let you know. I mean, this still planned to be start shipping towards the end of the year. That's what it is. Okay. Let's have a look on what we have here. So we've made in the last couple of weeks, months, a lot of miniatures. We haven't been showing them. Our team was working very, very intensively. Many of those items are currently being cut for plastic. So I think next couple of months I'll be able to show you all. I should be able to show you, because we plan to ship a little bit earlier. So this is a Lady Giant. As you can see, the base is 50mm, so you can imagine the size. I hope you like it. What else do we have? We sculpt those elements. This is entrances to the caves. It is kind of important for the next projects. Okay. Then we have more entrances. So you can use them to connect the current setup you have, and so on. The team is trying to make sure there's no many components to glue. I think in some of the cases here we have 1 or 2. Some of them just being two-sided elements. You just glue them together, and that's it. Here is one example when we needed to spend a little bit more time on it. This is Enchantress, I believe. So when the first design, it was extremely flat element. When I say extremely flat, it's just everything was like in line for plastic, and I didn't like it. So we went back to a sculptor and decided to actually change this one to have slightly more elements in angle. So that will just create a nice looking miniature. But it's there. This is example of the cave entrance, the dwarf cave entrance. That element is extremely large. It's about, I think, 12 centimeters, roughly this size. It's gonna be roughly of this size. So, yeah, and then we have eggs. That's the spider eggs, I believe. Here we have more stuff, more renders. Let me just check quickly for questions. So this question is no, local stores cannot order them. We say specifically that these models going to be only available on the trade shows, we needed to allow them to be ordered from our online store, but only during the trade shows. The simple fact is lots of people couldn't go for the trade show this year as well, so they mentioned if they could potentially buy the miniature. Many companies is doing this, so we decided to actually, okay, let's do it, because otherwise we're going to be just making other people angry of, you know, we're trying to make those exclusive miniatures much more available, just to make sure there's no exclusivity, that much exclusivity in terms of, you know, exclusive, but you can get it much faster. So your early bird is basically getting from us or coming to us at the trade show, during the trade show. Like spiders. Okay. Yeah, okay. Right, let's check it. What we have rare. So there's more elements we have done. So these were from stretch goals for Land of Giants. More. One second, it's a question. Okay, so all those Spider X rendered stretch goals for encounters, yes. Yes, they are. This is all encounters. I think we have 90% of 3D asset already sculpted. And spoken with my team for plastic injection, they told me they're extremely ahead in cutting. So kind of we catching back the sculpting team, which is a little bit of problem. Yeah, so, oh, okay, this miniature shouldn't be here. That's the Demigorgon, right? No, shouldn't be here. No, it's not part of this project, sorry. I found in the folder, added. We will make it for next project or for this project if we find a room for Honest Pro. More 3D renders, so different type of signs. What is important, my team is trying to make sure there is no many components to glue. In this case, we don't have any components to glue. You have one solid element you just place on a table. That's it. You paint, place on the table. And more elements. And in terms of the one which is on the right hand side, where right hand side is only consisted of 2 separate elements. So it's again quite easy to assemble. Some questions, one sec. Okay, so next projects, I'm gonna be talking about next projects right now, but yes, we do have plans for next projects, adding more mushrooms and mushroom faction and things like that, so it will be there. No, you won't be able to buy Mod 2 Dice Tower in the local store. We decided not to release this one to, at this stage, not to release whatsoever to retail. It was only the Kickstarter and the game found, and that's it. Sorry. Okay, that is in terms of renders, and that's the kind of announcement of something we're gonna be working on. And I will explain you the reasons and why and so on. It's a Heroes and Villains Dungeons and Lasers project, a new Dungeons and Lasers expansion to our own tiny universe. So where we are, what's the plan? Oh, my face is covering some stuff you shouldn't. Anyway, as you know, we used to make a lot of miniatures in resin, tons of resin. We used to make only resin miniatures for many years. So over the years, we have many board games we have released with fantasy miniatures, sci-fi miniatures, and so on and so on. Those board games now are obsolete. We don't have them anymore, and we won't be making them anymore, because we don't have any more resin technology in-house. But we have around about 250 different designs of miniatures, and it would be shame to throw that away now, or don't use it anymore. The idea actually is coming from you, because as if you remember this picture here, from our campaign on Dungeons and Lasers Encounters, there was a few questions about this miniature model here. Or is this going to be available, or when and how, and just open it up in the stretch goals and things like that. So this is actually just a placeholder miniature. We use it for, you know, to take some photos and pictures. And there was no intention to add this miniature whatsoever to Dungeon Lasers Encounters. But that gave us a little bit of thinking about, you know what, we have those miniatures. One, we would just, you know, with our technology now, with what we can do now, and many things, we think we could take all of our entire line, group it up, and do something about it, and create a nice Kickstarter with just the pure miniatures on sprues. So I'm looking at 150 to 200 different designs. We're looking at the extremely large number of miniatures in a Kickstarter, right? So something which, and many of them are fantasy, the kind of weird fantasy miniatures from Vanguard of War, some of the from Reload, some miniatures from Load, some of the miniatures we never released. So we have a number of miniatures we never released previously whatsoever. And that's the idea for this project. It's gonna be large, huge, loads of minis, and loads of minis. Not only that, we will try to make 5th ed ready, so it means we will just create booklet with all the stats for each of the miniatures, special skills, and so on and so on. And in that line of miniatures, we really have something extremely hardcore fantasy minis. So definitely fit our theme, and definitely fit dungeons and lasers. So that will be next projects. We don't know when we're going to start this next project, some point next year. I think it's gonna be towards the first quarter of the next year, but we need to make sure that we have everything done, tooling for the previous, and my team can actually start cutting and scaling up or down the miniatures we have made in the last couple of years. So this is basically about 4 years worth of miniature sculpting, which gonna be available just in plastic. Yeah, right. Let's have a look some questions. Yeah, I can show you, by the way, let me show you something. I've got some miniatures here. So when we talk about the miniatures, that's the level of miniatures quality you'll be seeing in plastic injection. So my team is extremely now confident. I mean, I am extremely confident in my team in terms of doing miniatures in plastic injection, because in the last couple of months we have been doing extremely crazy stuff, and we turn really complex miniatures into something which, you know, oh, we got bot. Okay, thank you, Camille. Extremely complex miniatures, and we can create a nice factions and so on in plastic injection. So that's only a few samples. Voila. Yeah, that's also including the miniatures you have seen already. Some large miniatures which we currently have in plastic injection, because these are from Chronicle X, which we don't have any plans for Chronicle X neither. So you'll be able to use for Spelljammer in terms of fantasy, in terms of D&D, or basically use for Starfinder or any other system. Yeah. Okay. So that's the plan. That is the plan. And yeah, for the next couple of weeks I'm going to be working on layouts and everything else in terms of what exactly miniatures will go there. Once we're ready, I will explain you more and show you more about the scale of miniatures, how they fit in gaming, wargaming, D&D, and so on and so on. We just have to make right in terms of scale, because some of these miniatures were tiny, some others were too large and don't fit to anything which was, you know, RPG oriented, and we need to make sure it's put back in line. Okay, that is for that project. Yeah, that's for that at this stage. Yeah, that's it. Right, let's move on to the most difficult projects of our lifetime, and I don't think we're gonna have any more difficult projects like this ever in the future. So it's Heroes of Might and Magic 3, the board game. Now, difficulty is that huge expectations toward this. There's a huge expectation towards this game. My team been really doing a lot of data analysis, lots of play testings to actually get this game there. Whether we're gonna be 100% with everybody's gonna be happy. No, it's not. You can't make everybody happy. Somebody will find something. Some people will be saying it's far away from Heroes Might and Magic 3. Some people will be loving it. The most important during the tests or gameplay we had during Essen, we didn't have mixed feelings. We had only positive reactions, which is good, because if we had mixed feelings, there would be something else we need to do and spend a little bit more time working on it and things like that. I think the feedback we got tells the story that yes, we're very, very close where we should be. But although there is lots of questions, one of the questions was how are you going to solve the issue with combat town board, which were addressed in the Board Game Geek. Now, something about the Board Game Geek, my team is extremely, especially the team for this project, extremely, let's say, involved in discussions on Board Game Geek with you and try to explain some things, taking ideas, and also on top of that, working with the feedback. So really, really thank you. Thank you for supporting us, and thank you for your comments. Now, what I can say today about the town board, the town board will be changed. We're going back to the original idea when you had tiles, when you place those tiles. So the team is actually working towards that. The main reason why we have removed was the costing. So they were extremely expensive if we talk about so many factions, and to add this component into board game, it means that we needed to sacrifice some other quality. But we actually make decision that, okay, we're not going to be sacrificing, we're going to be bringing back. This is something which some people ask for. This is something which fans wants to see it. So yes, the town board will be brought back in the same form you have seen it on a prototype. So if you go on a Board Game Geek, there's a few pictures of how they might look. Obviously this time might be slightly different because the prototype was just done internally for the playtestings and see reactions. But that's the thing about the playtesting. When we did original playtesting, we haven't really thought that it could be so important to players that actually have this one. We've seen this one as a tiny small gimmick rather than actually something functional, but this time around team will be making this one more functional and not only gimmick. So yeah, you'll be happy with, I think you're going to be happy with the solutions we are going to prepare for that. Will you include the proper storage solution for all the markets, miniatures, and stretch goals? Yes. Well, hold on. I don't want to go too much ahead. Yes, for everything. Stretch goals going to have separate box. So I believe yes. Also for the stretch goals as an individual, it needs to be packed somehow. We're lucky to work with company at the moment in China, which they, well, at least understood the that the product needs to be packed back when you unpack the product. So they give us a little bit of expertise when it comes to making the board games and all the storage solutions for the elements when we did the Fields of Eternia. So I'm counting on them and also counting on my team that this will be implemented as well. Something we're going to be starting next week, next couple of weeks. I asked my team to create a dev changelog. So there will be some information about what exactly will change based on the feedback we have received from playtesting, because we want you to keep tracking to make sure that the feedback we receive on trade shows or feedback we have received from the Board Game Geek is implemented. But at this stage it will basically go somewhere under one of the many posts or somewhere else. So this will be the collective information about the changelog and how exactly the game evolved from the point of if you play the game here, if you play the game here, if you watch the video here, what exactly has changed. This is very, very important just to make sure that, you know, the customers are informed about the development process for this game. More questions. When you are aiming to deliver post campaign 22, 23, 24, bonus points if you can't tell us. Okay, the campaign is going to start towards the end of this year. November. Usually we put down year for production, development, everything else. Yeah, do we hope to get in a year? Definitely this time, yes. There is no obstructions unless there's some obstructions will, arrive. So in general, what I'm trying to say is, if we go into manufacture and if we tell them that we need this game in quantities of XYZ, when you can make for us, and if they're gonna give us the final date and also the cutoff date for all the materials to deliver to them, we should be able to hit those dates. So that's it. So usually in the Kickstarter project, and this is why I don't really like Kickstarter projects, because they're so unpredictable in terms of delivery dates, and if you have to count on the third parties, everything might happen. Somebody's gonna get sick, somebody's going to eat like bad soup and cause massive issues in a broken chain line, or some crazy guy will start and launch some rockets. Many things might happen, but in general, the aim is to deliver this game towards the end of 2023. Are you able to share more information on the current thinking behind expansions? Expansions, I believe, are only related to factions. So those expansions, we designed those expansions to make sure that also they're going to be in the future available in retail. Obviously, Kickstarter will give you the best deal ever in terms of backing Kickstarter, but yeah, that's what we want to do. Anything else like stretch goals, like unique stretch goals, I think what I can tell you, one of the factions will be just Kickstarter exclusive faction with all the miniatures and everything else. So maybe I'm talking too much now and spilling too much, but anything else we need to make available in retail. We have huge plans for this game, including some tournaments maybe in the future if it grows, and so on. But yeah, for those who get Grail Collector pledges, will they need to pay extra shipping if the expansions come out at the time or in the future? No, I think we have, if we're going to be shipping, we're not going to be shipping in waves. I don't see any reasons to ship in waves, because this project is not like 30,000-40,000. I mean, most of the companies, if they have to ship products in waves, is basically that they don't have like us. They don't have us in the past. They don't have a space to keep all of that. So if you have like 30,000 board games to ship out from your warehouse, on top of that, you got 30,000 add-ons and 30,000 stretch goals and 30,000 other components. You really have to have a large warehouse. Now, at this stage, we are quite lucky because we just got it large warehouse. One more warehouse will be available for us next year. So we shouldn't be going that road of let's ship the core game and then do everything else. What else? How the art book coming? It's coming along. Yes, right. Something about the art book. You've got to understand that my team, and especially the art director, they put extremely crazy amount of hours into art. Like for the board game, it's really even too much, I would even say. Okay, they spend 4 times more on arts than we shouldn't for the board game. So my accounting is shouting and kicking desks and saying why you going ahead with these projects and pumping so much money into arts when you should do it, whatever. Just keep it in a budget. But we couldn't keep in a budget. We needed to extend it, and we needed to actually focus more on arts and spend more time, which effectively is also money. So the art book idea came with, if we have those arts, they're gonna look extremely good in the art book. Let's just make it. So yeah. Will there be another major update? News before the Kickstarter campaign goes live? Yes. In fact, many updates, because we're going to be updating the page. We want to update that and so on. On top of that, what we try to do is, as I mentioned, the devlog, development change log, which will be updated whenever we have some change. And it will be related to everything, not only just the the game rules, but also some changes in the visual changes or quality changes and so on. One of the reasons for that also is because we have been shipping currently. We already shipped some, and also shipping currently the demo games, right? So we need to address this one as well, just to make sure the demo games, the things we change, they are reflected on the page. So that's about heroes. Let me just check the questions. Okay, let's go from the top. Okay, thank you. We spent a lot of time on those miniatures. But something to consider, that's for sure. I'm missing classic items and set in Heroes 3. Is that planned for later? That is a good question to my team. I don't know. I won't be able to answer this because Jakub is working on a project. He's got a full list of all the things planned, so maybe there is in the pipeline. Okay, so my suggestion is to drop the shipping cost for your website. 20 euros for a miniature skeleton mini-mix is expensive to order, in my humble opinion. Well, yes. From the next pre-orders, we plan to have free shipping above some threshold. So we plan to do something which other companies are also doing. This is kind of to leverage inflation. So it's going to be inflation related. So we will try to not charge you for shipping. Okay, let me just check. Let's go back to presentation. Let's see what else we have there. More questions. How many heroes will there be in each faction? I believe 2. And the other question I am unable to answer to you. I don't think so. No, not at this stage. Okay, this is something very boring. So this is something I wanted to do for some time to explain the reasons behind moving away from Kickstarters. And I mentioned this one couple weeks ago on the last live chat briefly. So I'm trying to explain to you why this is happening, why we want to move away from the Kickstarter. We have all the tools to do so, and there is no reason to stay with the Kickstarter. Kickstarter is basically a huge risk, and a huge risk for the companies who are just 100% rely on the Kickstarters, and even for the smaller companies, which their revenue is too high from the Kickstarters, because it might snowball. The cost might snowball very, very quickly. It might cost the company, even the company's got third leg of financing, it might cost company a lot. So I will first explain to you where we are in the current state and what's our projection for 2023, and then we're gonna be the next slide. I'm gonna be showing you some real example. Actually, no, it's not a real example. It's example which might explain to you the reason why some companies are having difficulty at the moment, because they've been so long on a Kickstarter and only Kickstarter, and now you can see some information about they selling assets, or they're looking for the investors, or such things, right? So in my opinion, if you at the point where you have to search for investor, you already crossed the point of no return, and faster you admit it, it's gonna be better for definitely Kickstarter backers. So first quarter of 2021, we've been basically Kickstarter. That's it. Our company was Kickstarter. We had some services back then, a little bit. We did some services here and there randomly, but our main stream of revenue was actually coming from the Kickstarter. There was the in the fourth quarter of 2021, we decided to actually open up for the retail. And a big chunk of sales was actually added in there. So as you can see, roughly about 20-22% of our total revenue for the fourth quarter was coming from retail. We introduced several products to retail with several plastic injection products and so on. And it's only going better. In the first quarter of 2022 was exactly kind of the same between the Kickstarter and the retail revenues. The next quarter was increasing in terms of revenue towards what we have collected cumulatively from the Kickstarter. And the third quarter, we have introduced services. Now it's a big chunk now, because services in general, this is something we've been doing for years, but not to the level we are currently doing. Services are plastic injection tools as well as injection miniatures for other companies. That's kind of also important to us, because it will generate, it basically generates some additional revenue in case if, you know, some projects is fail or some projects is not doing well, or we put out something in retail which is not selling as we expected. But at the moment, looking at this trend, that's our kind of projection for quarter 4 of 2022. So small chunk of Kickstarter, bigger chunk of services, and a bigger chunk of retail. Now my plan for 2023, and I hope it's gonna happen, is that we're gonna be having even bigger chunk for retail, even bigger chunk for services, and then the Kickstarter, right? Why? It's simple. The Kickstarter should not be main driver for your business for revenue. Never. Because Kickstarters is a lottery. It's most of the cases is kind of lottery. You are there's extremely difficult. There's so many factors during the Kickstarter that you don't know that might cause your projects to fall apart. That might cause and generate additional costs, and so on, so on, so on. We have chunk of services as well. The services are stable because we have a long-term contract, so we can actually rely on that one as a business with no risk of doing, you know, going nowhere or, you know, causing any disruption. And then obviously there's the retail. So retail is something which is growing, because at the moment, even though retail is growing, we're still tiny small. We are tiny in terms of actually selling to retail in compared to any other companies out there. Right, so this number will grow anyway, and we're gonna be, that's gonna be our drive main sources of income. So services and retail, and the Kickstarter is great to some degree. The Kickstarter definitely is great in terms of, you know, the type of projects you want to run there. 1 second. Does the revenue in services correlate exactly the investment of such a process? I can imagine. Let me just put up this question. Can't see it full. I can imagine it's only of those parts where the revenue installation in time of the resources is lower. Kind of. Again, we have a bot. Services, we allocate about 20% of our capacity to services, and this allocation won't change much. So 20-25, because you cannot relate also on services, although we have many customers, about 6 or 7 different customers for the services, but they are important. And the main reasons for that one is we have extremely large capacity for external, for our own projects. In some cases, we have too much capacity. So 75% of capacity is assigned to our projects. Could we assign 100% of capacity to our projects? In some cases, yes. In some cases, not. Let me explain. So tooling-wise, we can make a lot of tools. But then, if you go on the Kickstarters, we have to make manufacture 3,000 sprues. So for this tool, for any tool, let's say 3,000, 6,000, 7,000. It's only 1 day it's actually 3 days of production. And I've got full Kickstarter manufactured of one tool of 1 sprue. So for the remainder of the time, the machine would be just sitting doing nothing. So that's one of the reasons why we needed to introduce services, because we couldn't put enough products on our machines in order to keep them going, in order to keep the staff here available and so on. And we need the staff available here because of our whole concept of the business was we make a Kickstarter, and then within 1 month we manufacture everything, packed and ship everything. For that you need a labor. For that you need a quite large team, and you cannot get team untrained to pack the products otherwise, because you're going to have lots of problems with that. I mean, lots of quality issues. So what we said is, okay, so in the first month of the quarter and second month of the quarter, we focus on doing services for other companies. And then the third quarter, the third quarter, if the third month of that quarter will be, for instance, doing something for us when the entire team is focused on packing, shipping the product for us. That makes sense. So that's what we needed, because company like ours, manufacturing company would not be able to carry on doing what we are doing if we're only going to focus on just, you know, keep doing Kickstarters. It would be a problem of how we need to lay off people now and then towards the end of the year get another 10 people because we need to start shipping. But we have those people trained, so let's give them some work to do during the idling time between the projects. Yeah. And you are in Poland and not in China, and your quality is well known. That's probably a lot more attractive nowadays. It is. In fact, I was extremely surprised to find out that our tooling and manufacturing is cheaper than China. See, there's something tricky about China. There is not that many manufacturers for plastic injection miniatures on spruce. I thought that every single manufacturer of board games models could do that. No, I had a discussion with one of the Chinese manufacturers. He came along, he showed me the sprue, explained the cost and things like that. I said, well, you know, I'm making cheaper, but your prices are too expensive. And then when we talk about this one, he told me that, yeah, but you know, he needs to make a tool externally, right? But they are huge manufacturing, they have lots of plastic injection, but the tooling is made externally. It only means there's some other source of tooling which, you know, you have to provide, which they have to buy it and make it somewhere else. And it's like exactly the same in a board game. You go to the board game manufacturer, he will tell you, yeah, we make everything, which is not true. And then you fly to them to see the manufacturing, go across the manufacturing and you ask the question, so where are you making miniatures? Oh, no, this is made by other company. Well, you go to that other company, what you see there, entire line of miniatures for many other companies which makes board games, right? So they pretend to be big, they pretend to make everything in-house. That is not true. They use other companies for that. And same goes for the plastic injection manufacturing. I look at the sprue and I knew exactly who made that sprue and asked the question, is this company actually making sprue for you? Yes. Okay, fine, I know now everything. And then you go to other company and you ask the question, who is making sprue for you? Oh, this company. I know exactly the same company. So that's kind of what China is at the moment, and it always was like that. So they fake it till make it in a level of we're gonna go somewhere and make it with somebody else. Yeah, so the services will be and is huge chunk for our company, and it's stable. So I kind of know, because I signed for the contracts for the tooling, I know exactly how many tools we can produce, how many tools the company can order, and so on. And then retail, it needs to grow, and I hope it's gonna be growing. And then comes Kickstarter. Now let me explain to you a little bit about the Kickstarter one, why I think many companies might be in trouble in terms of doing Kickstarter. So I got something here. Let me just go for next page. Oh yeah, first of all, where the Kickstarter is good for us. So when you think about all the pros and cons about why we should run Kickstarter and for product projects, definitely so-called test water projects. So the projects we're not quite sure whether if we get that one out there for retail, it's gonna be great hit. You know, you may say every single project is test water project. No, it's not. IP products are not test water products. IP products are products which will, if you put out, it will sell in the retail in the quantities that you will generate exactly on a Kickstarter, with risk, without the risk of losing money. Like just alone delay on Fields of Eternia, delay of 6 months of not having this product and not having this product on shelf in the retail, not having this product on the backers, for the backers. We cost our company maybe 80% or 90% of profit we've made at GameFound with this game, and that's the reality. But we got other projects, we have retail, we have other stuff. So for us, okay, we haven't made anything on that, but we needed to get it now, because every month delay from China to us, because of COVID, because of this, because of that, it generates more costs. And yeah, actually, towards the end, if we get this game, I don't know, if they were delaying for next year 4 or 5 months, we wouldn't be making any profit, only we'll be losing money. So that's the huge risk in terms of doing anything outsourcing when your source is not stable or your source is at risk of not delivering on time. Yeah. So that's what it is. That's the reality. So the plastic projects we can do because we make them in-house. We make those projects in-house. I know exactly when the tool will start, when the tool will finish. I know roughly when I'm gonna be able to ship, and I know even if I put out my Excel and calculate that my project is scheduled to be shipped within a year and a half, and I ship within the year or even faster than a year, we generate more profit out of it. So we don't lose money for, you know, overheads. All the word is on fire. Yeah. And then we have and then the question is when we're gonna be doing some plastic, so or some Kickstarters next year. We plan to do some in February and one in June, and both going to be plastic, just plastic Kickstarters. So we don't plan any at this stage. We don't plan any board games for the next year until we set up the manufacturing here in Poland. So until we know exactly how much for how much I can make the project, for how long I'm gonna be manufacturing, and so on and so on. So 100% under control, 100%. So I've got something to show you, and this will be again boring. It's already 4 o'clock, but I'll try to speed up and tell you exactly why some companies go in trouble. It's simple. It's really simple stuff. But some people might not understand. So for me, I never back Kickstarters. I will never back Kickstarters with projects which haven't delivered at least one project. And I see that one. There's I think the Kickstarter nowadays changed a little bit the way they operate, but you know, allowing companies to run 3 projects, 4 projects without even delivering the first one, no. That's definitely a red flag. That says something about the company. Now, I do understand if you don't make money on project 1 and then you make money on project 2 and then project 3 and so on, and gradually you can see the progress. You have money for investment and everybody around see, oh, this company is growing. I do understand that, but you know, I don't understand when you haven't shipped the first one and you don't know what the additional cost will be to swallow. And you run another Kickstarter and another Kickstarter. You build up, you know, a chain of Kickstarters and might cause you really a lot. And I know some companies are currently in trouble with that. So this is Kickstarter 1. Just imagine a company. This is just random, theoretically, right? A large company with IP product makes $1 million USD. So the average cost of manufacturing per pledge is $35. Yeah, it seems low, isn't it? The basic pledge, well, it's average basic pledge, not should be average pledge, tooling included. So the total cost would be around about $260,000 for manufacturing of all those games. Average backer, if you collect 135, so that's 7,000 backers. That's what you basically need. Then you have development costs. So if you plan to release the game within 2 years, 8 months, 75 minutes, arts rules, that's about $750K. Sorry, $75,000. And then also we have to take in consideration something like ads and revenue. So return of investment 7. So it means for every invested, that's mistake, it should be 7 not 8. You got $7 back. And that should equate maximum to 33% of your income from Kickstarter, from GameFound, because most of the cases, the first 33% you can do rate of return at 7. Once this number go higher, that's return of investment is actually going lower, which means you have to pump in more money into it just to get less dollar back. Okay. Now there's a question about the Cool Me or Not. I don't think Cool Me or Not's got very strong retail. Very strong retail. So if you look at the finance operations, they do like 30-40 million in total. So they do Kickstarter just to break even, I think, most of the cases, but they have strong retail. So I think the money they make, they do that very well. It's in retail, and they also have some retail products they send out. So Simon, different, a little bit different. I think they're much better positioned than anyone else who is not having so-called third leg to generate revenue in case if you have not successful project. Yeah. Although as I mentioned, if your calculation is wrong in terms of revenue against revenue sources against the Kickstarter, you may be in huge trouble, which I'll show you now, which I'll try to show now. Yes, that's one of the example when they went really, that's the example which maybe is similar to the one, you know, to the one they did. That's one of the examples. So I show you the cost. So when you run Kickstarter, you have fees, and there's a 5% fee of transaction fee and 3% of, sorry, 5% of Kickstarter fee, and then 3% of card payment fees. You have to pay them. So out of the you lose 8%. Then is license cost, so it's 10%. I mentioned license cost around about 100,000 USD. That's correct. If you go for the large project and you expect to make 1 million, this is how much you're going to be paying for. You're going to be paying for the license. So that's 10% of that money goes out of the window. I do understand you have to take initially the investment, so I'm just showing you start the projects and you just get in the investment you have put in. Then we have a VAT or income tax. Now I show only 12%. And the reason, because of European needs to pay VAT, and most of the companies needs to pay in Europe VAT. However, we don't have to pay VAT for the United States. There are other taxes we have to pay for United States. So in average, it's actually 12%. Normal tax rate in Europe is around about 20, 23. 23 in Poland, about 19 in Germany, or 20 in Germany, something like that. But in average, it's 12% of your overall money you have collected is basically taxes you have to pay. Then it's development cost, which I mentioned about 8%. Now this vary because 8% is when you count just doing a 75 miniatures project. So the problem with development here is that you really don't know how long development will take, because to develop a game, I say 2 years here, but it's not 2 years from the point when you decide to develop the game, because you will start collecting, getting more stuff, people into the projects once the project is more advanced. So once you have rules from one person, then you need 2 graphic, then you need 3 people, then you need 4 sculptors, then you need this and that and that. So gradually the cost of the investment development goes up. But I think within the 75,000, at least for our projects, you should be there. So then is the cost of manufacturing. This is the cost I told you. So the cost of $35 per pledge. This is including tooling. What is extremely important is including tooling. So there's one of the companies you might know which runs some Kickstarter with the miniatures and just miniatures as well, the PVC ones. And they showed the numbers of how much the money they needed to spend on tooling, and they needed to spend 900,000 on tooling. So for you, it might be bullshit. No, it's not. It's real. It's real number. They had so many individual projects, and they went to China, and they needed to spend that much money. They collected 1.2 million or 1.3, and paying 900,000 for tooling, it's not much money left. If you look at those fees and VAT you have to pay, or even income tax and development cost, if you calculate just those small percentages out of the project, you will know exactly where they are. Okay, so that's bad. But manufacturing cost is here, and then we have ads costs, which, you know, roughly 5%. It's good value, 5% if you just spend 5% for the projects. For the 1 million projects, I think ideally will be about 8% to 9% on ads. So this is how much, and ads includes also doing reviews of your board games, or things like that, paid ads basically. And then you have profit, 31%. So it's huge money, right? $310 out of 1 million projects, which is like, with IPs and things like that. It is, or is it? No. For how long this money will last? And this is what is the problem for many companies. So if you generate the profit of 310, and I'm talking here about the perfect conditions, this means there is no additional shipping fees, there is no additional cost, and there is no additional development. But if you just imagine you want to run the business for 1 million projects, you will need at least 10 people to deal with it. This is customer service, this is all the people behind the projects. You need rules, projects, we need the ads, need all those things to be in the business anyway for amount of time, in order to create new projects, so spend time on developing on the new projects, and on top of that, making sure that this project will be delivered. So your project manager will still have to go to each of the individual person and say, look, we need to correct the rulebook, look, we need to correct that, we need to correct that. You have to bear in mind that the Kickstarter projects you see from many companies, including ours, are not 100% polished and ready to go. Not. After Kickstarter, we need to spend at least 3 months to 4 months to get there. Only to get there. So now think about that, how long money how much money will last and for how long money will last for the company if they want to only live out of the Kickstarter. And so they work for at least 1 year to create new project, and just in case, just theoretically, they run second Kickstarter. So before they fulfill the first one, they run second Kickstarter. And if the second Kickstarter was not as successful as the first Kickstarter, because of many reasons why it might not be, different conditions, they generate some profit again. And this generate the profit, which is much more smaller profit. It still will be probably 31%, but the profit will be not 310,000, but the profit will be half of that, so 150,000. And then when you think about this one, if they want to carry on with the same logic and with the same manpower, with the same to get another project to run, they start from that point of view, because as you can see, they just run out of money here, they've made profit, and they start again. So instead of now having time to develop something new for 1 year, they have only 6 months to develop, to put out. Now, it is impossible to develop the project within 6 months. Not like complex board games and things like that. Not impossible, right? It will be one polish if you see on the Kickstarter completely like, okay, this is quickly done in some renders, whatever. No, you can tell straight away there's something wrong. But the business will go, and if they make mistake of actually carry on business, they need to cover these costs, right? So we went above the line of, let's say, bank account, and they might go for credit, they might go to bank and get some loan or whatever. But most of the cases, what some of the companies which are in trouble at the moment, what they do, they go back to project number 1 and say, well, you know what, I'm not going to be shipping now, I'm going to push shipping for the next 6 months and use the shipping money to carry on business, because they believe that next Kickstarter is a third Kickstarter to here, and it will pay back everything because it's a great idea. So simple as that. And what they end up in most of the cases starting from this level. It's already been in deep, let's say, cuckoo, and trying to recovery with another Kickstarter, sacrificing the cost of manufacturing, or pulling the money from manufacturing, or pulling the money from shipping, because this is the only money they can use at this stage, because product has not been yet either manufactured or shipped. So that's how this cycle looks. So going back to the discussion about the Simon, even if they got trouble with the project on a Kickstarter, like, I believe two of the latest one are not the best, so Dune and the Cyberpunk, they still have very strong retail, and making from the profit from the retail is actually something which might offset any losses on projects. So that's how I see Kickstarter. Jarek the teacher. That's a good one. I will just, next time, instead of CEO, will be Jarek the teacher. I'm trying to explain this, because some people ask the question, why want to move away from the Kickstarter? Because you might get in trouble if you're only running Kickstarter. Absolutely. If you believe that your business future is just running out of crowdfunding, you are absolutely lunatic, You're absolutely lunatic. You have to find the other way of, just in case, many other types of revenue. Now, there's something to add here, because I haven't told you something. In this scenario, this company could get out of the trouble if they ship the Kickstarter one here, for instance, in this column, and then to the backers, and then decide to actually, we're going to push this one to to retail. Now, here is also a huge problem. When the games are designed, when they add tons of plastic components, tons of things into there, they overextend the product, which is becoming extremely expensive to put out in retail, right? So this is the other aspect of it. I can see when I look at the Kickstarters, when I see the Kickstarter offering 150 miniatures in a core game, I mean, you're not gonna be able to take this one to retail ever. So this project is a dead in the water in terms of generating additional revenue in the future, because you're not gonna get it there. You're not gonna get additional revenue. That's simple as that. So, it's also about how you design your product and making sure the product will be available to retail at some point, and at least for some revenue, at least to make some profit, which will allow you to offset losses on any type of projects. So now just imagine that company makes 1 million projects and makes 310,000 of profit of that project, and then suddenly gets additional shipping bill of, I don't know, $300,000 or $200. This is where real problem starts. This is where real uncalculated, unforeseen problem starts, yeah, for the companies. So, but that example is pure no issues, and we get there counting on the second projects to be successful, right? So that's what it is. So we moved away from we moving away from the Kickstarter. The main reasons why we're moving away, because we cannot count on this one to go the way we think or mathematically should go. Yeah. So it's much better to go for the retail, and much better focus on the retail, even much better to focus on a small retail releases over the year. So I mentioned one thing to you. I mentioned to you that we released Battleground. That one over there. We needed to release another product for for the license, to carry on the license, because the first one was delayed by the manufacturing. So that was the one of them. So we already did more sales of the product which was developed at the beginning of the year and released slowly and gradually than we did on the GameFound, right? So I know now if I'm going to put out some wave, it will sell in quantity of thousands, so I can sit down and plan out my budget for the next couple of months. Simple. And looking at just the Fields of Eternia example, I knew that up until the moment they told me that they have to be shut down because of the situation on the market, because of COVID, because of this. So every month, me waiting for Fields of Eternia is a month when we actually losing money from the profit we have generated. Yeah. So this is the reason why retail, it's much more stronger. Can you make that much money upfront from retail? No, never. But do you have to invest that much money to go to retail? No, you don't have to. You don't have to invest $75,000 for the game to go to retail, because especially on IP product, because you don't need 2 years of content. You look at some of the Kickstarters, they have like, even we did that with Wolfenstein. You have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different add-ons for the game. We could release a core game and then every quarter release one product, which releasing additional product will increase also the core game sales. Yeah. Okay, so that's how it looks like. That's my understanding on about the business, and we simply have to we decide to change our mind about how we're gonna be running our business. We need to make sure the business is stable. We need to make business that we need to make sure that we mitigate as much as much risks as possible. And Kickstarter is a risk, one of the risks. But yeah. Anyway, are we going to be still using Kickstarter? Yes, as I mentioned, for maybe one project. I want just one project a year, starting from 2024, because at the end of the day, it's a good, to test water to see whether this plastic game will be good. And we have an audience there, so it will be difficult to say to that audience, oh look, we don't have nothing for you for the next 5-6 years. So that would be wrong. Business-wise would be wrong. But do we going to be counting on the Kickstarter to be our main source of money? Never. Absolutely never. Yeah. Okay. If you don't have any questions, it has the least risk versus creator. Well, the Kickstarter, if you go to any financial institutions, if you're going to explain financial institutions exactly how the Kickstarter works, they will say impossible. Like people pay money upfront for the product with no guarantee of delivery. How this one works? So the financial institutions kind of don't understand how it works, and they see this one as the golden grail for investors, right? So for actually the people who go in for the with the investment. Yeah, the risk is not that's the problem. Okay, there is if somebody's short-eyed and doesn't think they can count on the business to grow from the Kickstarter somehow if they're good at it, and they would just run away with it. Look how many Kickstarters fall in the last couple of years, Oh no, I refer to Kickstarter as a Kickstarter, but what I mean by that is basically crowdfunding. There is a pros and cons for running with different crowdfunding platforms. I think the GameFound is really good platform. I really like it. What I also like it about the GameFound is if you look at this chart, GameFound is actually doing a little bit of, let's say, check-in, the creators check-in, because they're able to do that. So they might not allow people who they know in a deep cuckoo to actually run other projects, because it might jeopardize the concept of the platform, of crowdfunding platform. So the Kickstarter, on the other hand, doesn't care. I mean, they allow projects which I don't believe they should allow. I mean, in my opinion, if somebody's got 3 Kickstarters undelivered and he's running the 4th one, I mean, come on, right? And haven't delivered even single one. I understand maybe some delay between the projects. We run the projects, we know the delays happens, we know there's approval system, you have to count on the third parties, you have to count on manufacturing outside, and all those things. There's many factors which might cause you. So some of the projects might be delayed, but not delivered projects and run another one, it's clearly there's some mistake, right? So yeah. Oh, I don't have that one yet. I will have this one for you at some point. Well, I've seen the guys already been cutting it, but it needs to be still done on layout, and we will see what exactly once I have it, I will show you. I think it would be faster to show you spruce than the actually layout itself. Yes, at the moment we're working towards finishing encounters and run it and ship it towards the end of the year. I think December should be the last tool. So for us, first week and second week, we are going to work through December. The main reason why we're going to work through December is that the electricity price is going to change from January. Not much, but they will. So we need to make sure that we make as much production towards the end of the year with the costs we estimated. Yeah. No, we don't plan to put out any Motu product in a crowdfunding at this stage. It's not even planned. I think Feats of Eternia was one of the last. Yeah, we will develop all those games in the retail. So if you are part of the fan base, just look at the retail, and we're gonna be making a lot of things available into retail. Crowdfunding definitely is a high risk for both creators and backers, but for the first time creators it might be only options. I don't think it's for creator any risk. I don't think. I mean, I think it's for creators who think they're going to be able to run their business just on a Kickstarter. Then yes, it is. Because you start your business, you're running for 2 years or 3 years, you keep going with the projects, and this, let's say, failure is building up and you have more and more issues and problems. That is the risk. But is it a risk for starting creators? No, they would just don't deliver. Nobody's gonna do anything to them. That's the problem. I think I heard one concept which I really like, which should be there, in my opinion. It should be like, when you start the projects, you pay for, as you can see this on the table, you just pay some money to the creator. Some money, not all, some. And then when the creator starts showing you progress and say, oh look guys, we did this and that, and you pay an additional part of the money, and that's fair. That's totally fair. And then I will understand the situation. Then you go on a Kickstarter, there's no risk. But you pay all of that money, and the creators gets all that money, there's a risk that creator may fail quickly. So, you know what I'm saying? It would be better if someone come up with the idea of this is crowdfunding platform, but you don't pay 100%, you pay 10%, and every month you pay 10%, but the creator needs to show you the progress. If creator does not show the progress, that's it, I'm not giving you. Okay, you're not showing me. So this would be great idea because you will push, you as a backer will put a lot of pressure on the creators to actually show you the progress, to explain to you what's happening and allow you to, okay, I like this one, we carry on every month, and so on, so on. But not if I pay now, because creator might, you know, forget about you. So no. Can we think of DNL with more horror graveyard? Look, there is one more DNL terrain Kickstarter planned for next year, so drop the ideas. But horror, yes. Horror, yes. That's something for the horror. Home free question: what sort of feedback did you get from the Essen? Really, really good. Really good. Correct spelling. The feedback was really good in terms of gameplay. So as I mentioned before, we don't get any mixed reviews. If we get mixed reviews, then there's something is not wrong, because, you know, if you sit down face to face with somebody who plays the game, he's not that keen to give you like a feedback, if you know what I mean. So if you get some positive feedback, then it's great. If you get even more positive feedback, you have to a little bit lower down, and then you have the perfect average. So I would say 8.5 out of scale of 10, 8.5. Do you have plans for regular skirmish game? Yes, for Motu instead of only. Oh no. Regular skirmish, that's the skirmish. The battleground is a skirmish. We classify this one as a skirmish. Archon has my full confidence in the projects on the creator and the crowdfunding platforms. You guys have many times. Yeah, we have many ups and downs. Yeah, we're not perfect. No, we're not perfect. One of the previous videos I did was exactly showing you that we are not perfect. We made many games which were not good, and so on. But over the years, we have been just learning and improving, and then we found our own things we really like to do. Like we love to, like, you know, plastic injection, and we found business-wise, we found something which works basically. So we know that, you know, calculation is there. We don't have to overextend. We don't have to promise and then try to deliver it somehow. We don't have to, because, you know, the costs are good there. But thank you for that. I like this kind of comments, because it shows that we, as a company, we grown as a company. So yeah. And Dark Fantasy miniatures will be there. Yeah. We wouldn't be able to handle this project like Dark Souls. I don't know. Dark Souls original, which was on the on a Kickstarter, I don't think it was there. I think there was lots of complaints about the rules and many things. Not every single video game can be translated to board game, I think. Hack and slash is difficult. Yeah. Did he answer regarding? Yes, I did. Okay, one more time. We plan to start shipping encounters towards the end of the year. If you go back to this presentation, you will see many things I mentioned in terms of where we are with the tooling. Thank you. You needed to leave for a second. Okay. Okay, I think the Berserk game will be very interesting, especially now that the manga is going again. Yeah. Okay, I will be wrapping up. It's already half past, a little bit more longer than normally. Thank you very much to join me. I hope I explained everything briefly, but everything. If you have some questions about this, oh, there's one more question. How do you guys? That's the secret. That's the secret. It's a hard work. It's really hard work to get any IP. And it's funny about the IPs, by the way. I was actually having chat a couple days ago with extremely well-known IP owner, and we started discussing. And the first question was where the product is manufactured. I said in Poland. He said, okay, great, we can carry on discussion. I said, why? He said, if you told me if you told me China, I'm getting like every week, you know, info from some random people wanting to make product under the IP and it's made in China. I don't want to make in China. So having factory is actually now bonus to get in Poland, bonus to get any IP. I'm not surprised. I'm not surprised because of delays cause also issue in booking for IP owners. Yeah, right. They count on revenue, they count on the royalties paid. So if you tell them, look, I don't have a product for 6 months because XYZ, I won't give you any royalties, and well, they won't extend your license. Simple as that. Simple as that. But you know, if you have everything under control and you can make it and you know it's actually on time and so on, so on, so on, it's much easier to get IP. If you prove yourself being a good one, then you know. And we have a portfolio of IPs. Yeah, I just mentioned. And really, if somebody's asking me for IPs, how to get it, like your question now, I always give the same answer to everybody. Go for something small. Go for something small, try it, see how difficult it is to work with licensor, see how difficult it is to get something approved, see how many times you have to go and correct the graphics, projects, miniatures, and see how much money you have to put out again on development and how much you will delay your projects. And at some point you will see that, you know, you're either good at it and you know what you're doing and you have people for it, or you're just gonna break and crash against the wall easily. So it's not easy to work with licenses and not with IPs. Yeah, but one thing is very important: you need to understand the business. If you don't understand the business, if you don't know how everything sells, how everything is getting manufactured, pushed, what's the downtime, what's the times and things like this, no, it's gonna be difficult. So I always say to everybody, start with something small, like a license, tiny license. Learn it from on that one, and maybe you can just, you know, build the portfolio on those small ones, and then go for something bigger. Yeah, we had license which we crashed against, really, big time. Tough, but we learn a lot. And nowadays we're doing extremely a lot of homework in order to get stuff, you know, approved and get stuff manufactured. Okay. What is the most useful lesson learned you understood from the first project? From the first project, definitely don't count. It is great success, and don't carry on doing, you know, other projects in the background. That's what we did with the first projects, which we completely, like, you know, being overloaded with, you know, wow, how great it is, and what I show you on this graph, the mistake we did, we haven't been kind of focusing on investment on the future, but at the same time making sure that that investment won't cost us too much and we can deliver still the previous projects and the new projects and so on. So that example I show you here, we almost followed into that project. We almost follow into that. Luckily for us, back many years ago, we had very, very strong services, and our company as Archon was actually created for making manufacturing for the companies. So adding something like first projects here, like a load project, was new for us, right? New, like, again, we start something new, but not IP product, right? New. But we had like backup, and we knew that even if the load won't be any successful, we can carry on what we're doing. Load was just addition to our business, not the main source of the income, right? That was the strength. That was the difference. At some point later, when we did a third Kickstarter or something, a fourth Kickstarter, we decided to move away from retail and away from the providing services for the companies. And we focus only on doing Kickstarters for many years because we kind of knew that we've made profit, we're not losing that, we not follow that pattern I show you now here. So we were okay up until now, when we think that it's about time, because we are too big company to count on sitting on, you know, we got 89 people. So we're too big to actually sitting here on basically crowdfunding, hoping that the campaigns will be fine and good, you know? So the lesson definitely learned is make sure that you have a plan, backup plan, B plan, I would say, and so on. And yeah. Yes. If you get good at it, definitely yes. So if the battleground, that's a good example of Mattel. We are kind of golden boys in the Mattel because our projects are selling very good. We gave them targets. We told them we told them what exactly we're going to be doing. So you have to provide many reports to the IP owners. So once you told them you're gonna be making XYZ revenue, the forecast, you have to make it. If don't, you're gonna be on the bottom list of things, company to be working with or approval. So we proved the point that we can do more than we said we will do. So we became kind of golden boy. Our stuff is being approved very quickly, and they sometimes go and ask the question, would you also be interested in this license, or maybe that license, or that license? So I keep saying, I want Barbie. I won't get it. I won't get it. Barbie is not touchable from Mattel. I'm joking about the Barbie, right? So, but in general, yes, you're gonna get approved. You're gonna get approached. We had been approached last year from different company who wanted to do some again video game into board game, quite well-known video game. We said no because we haven't seen the idea how we can actually do that, what we can do with it, and there wouldn't be any good game. It would be just cash grab just to make something which is just whatever IP. No, not anymore. Well, I say not anymore like we used to, but no. Okay. Yes, that is good stuff. To create your own IPs from scratch, no licensing, all costs in-house. And it's not only that, it's also you save money on, the project in general, because you don't have this rejects of the things and it keeps moving. However, the building your own IP is difficult. So, yeah, it is difficult. It is difficult. You may there's a couple projects which you can see on a Kickstarter, which, they're very similar to other projects because they try to go and fish for somebody else's IP and kind of make it themselves. I don't like that. If I was going to make some proper great IP, I would just do it from scratch, something which is not like copycat of other IPs. Yeah. Although we did Chronicle X, which many of them are used, faces from pop culture and everything pop culture related. Yeah. Okay. I see there is no more questions. Let me just finish for today. Thank you very much and have a good one. Have a good weekend. And we're going to be speaking next couple of weeks. 1 second. There's one more. You make a great products. I even trust you more doing products out of the crowdfunding projects. Yeah. Thank you. We're building this. Actually, we're building this together. Because I'm trying to be as much honest with you as possible in terms of how everything works behind the scenes. So I hope that makes sense. Right. You missed my link. Which one was it? Which one was it? Just pop out again. Let me a second. Okay, there's one more question. This one. As you move away from the Kickstarter to retail, will this allow you to be more competitive with a lower prices point to purchase games? Yes. The Kickstarter, as I mentioned about the Kickstarter games are very loaded with a good deal, with lots of miniatures and things like that, but they're not ready for any type of retail. The part of also working Kickstarter, you always have to give about 50% off. Right, so this is something to bear in mind because the retail requires you to drop the price and you have to be around about 50%. So you may say, well, but how this one works? It works. It really works. If you got good distributors and if you have a good connections with them, they will sell your products very well. Yeah, so you have to build it slowly, gradually, and have good product, have a good service, and everything else. Yeah. Yeah, the license is only for Europe. So I know it's a shame. We wish to extend our license. We did extend our license for another 3 years, but we didn't get any USA. Somebody told me that we should get maybe in touch with Simon and see whether they will be interested in our products in the United States. So effectively, they have a license, but they would sell our products in the United States. I don't know if this is even possible. I haven't been in touch with them yet. Might be in touch with them. Maybe this is a good idea. Maybe we should try and see what they're going to say, and then do that exactly for them. So their product will be then available in Europe through us. I don't mind about the cooperation. I don't see Simon as any type of competition, because the board game division in our company is just a fraction of the business. Our competition is other miniatures manufacturers. That's our competition. So, but whether they see us as a competition, that's a different story, because their main factor is basically making board games. But anyway, maybe this is one of the windows we could have a chat, and then, you know, allow at least the skirmish game to be in the United States as well. You know, it's a, why not? It's a revenue for them, revenue for us. Everybody happy, no? Okay. Thanks again. And right. Thank you. And I really need to finish. Sorry, because it's really 1 hour and 40 minutes. That's very long stream. People gonna be bored. Unless you paint your miniatures, then you can listen to me. Well, yes, manufacturing is happening. That's about it. Shipping still planned for towards the end of the year. Thank you. Thank you again.